Hi, this is Paul Palmer. I'm going to talk about risks again. Now, yesterday we talked about quality management, or should I say, actually, it was management review, wasn't it? And one of the key aspects that you need to be aware of when you're preparing for a management review meeting, or actually in general, one of the key things that you need to be aware of is the risk in the business. Where are your risks coming from? Where's the biggest problem that could impact the business if it happened? Because then you can put in place a strategy to ensure that that risk doesn't actually have a negative impact on performance or your results or patient safety, of course. Now, one of those things that people think about is they think about, well, I'm going to have a regulatory inspection, but when do you think about it? Well, they often think about it just before it's coming. But what they really should be doing is planning for it and understanding that the risks of the business, the controls that need to be in place, need to be there all the time. You don't want to just look at that last little bit, that end of the line, to focus on putting, well, I suppose the note to file, I think, is one way that people use. But what you really want to be doing is doing the job on an ongoing basis, using your management review to identify where the problems are, using your trend analysis to identify the issues before they come along, before they have a negative impact on you or the business. You want to make sure that the big part of the iceberg that could put you at risk is under supervision, not just the little part at the top, not just the bit that's easily visible. You want to be digging down deep into your systems and processes. You want to make sure that your trend analysis identifies the areas where you've got problems so that you can then do a deep dive into the issues and fix them before they have a more detrimental impact on the company. Good documentation practice is an example. Does everybody know how to do it? Do they all put a single line through, initial and date? And if it needs an explanation, add the explanation. If some people don't know what they're doing, well, make sure that everybody does. Make sure it's shared throughout, because you might find some people are acknowledging they don't understand, and other people that don't understand are not actually willing to speak up and let you know or ask for the additional support. It's really important when you're within a pharmaceutical manufacturing business, when you're within a medical device manufacturing business, when you're within a business, to make sure that your team is involved. Yes, you do your management review, you do your top level review, but that can give you indicators of what's going on the shop floor, what's happening with the people that you're working with. Are they talking to each other about the problems within the business? Are they talking about business continuity? And are they thinking, oh, I don't think this company is going to continue, so I'm going to look somewhere else? But that's a risk to you. If you lose that person, what happens? Who's core to the business? Who's there to make sure everything's keeping going? Well, theoretically, nobody's 100% required. Somebody might die. Somebody might have an accident. They might have to go and deal with a problem with the family. They might have to go and do something else. They might catch corona. Hope not. But whatever happens, you need to be able to deal with it. So don't have one person with all the knowledge. That one person should have shared the knowledge in the form of SOPs, work instructions, forms, records, training, provision of training to the rest of the team. You don't want one person that knows one activity. You don't want one person to be the only one that can do the lean training for you. You don't want just one Green Belt Six Sigma trained employee. You want a group of them so that they work together and they share the knowledge. And if one does leave by some chance, well, you've still got all the information you need within the heads of the other people. It's really unlikely that a whole team that works together is going to leave. I remember that when I used to work as my team, I was working with people that had been there 10, 12, 13 years. But what happened when somebody left? Well, it left a gap. It left a gap but only in terms of the person. It didn't leave a gap in terms of knowledge, because we had everything. Even back in the 80s, everything was written down. We were working to BS 5750. Now, I know that doesn't exist anymore. But the way that we were doing it, quality management system, is not different now. Put the information into your procedures. Put the information you need into your work instructions. Make sure people use them. Make sure the records support the use of the correct procedure. Make sure that the records have the detail that they need. You know, you can use that little 6-point writing underneath to give little clues what should be in there. Make sure that they understand that every box has to be filled in. And if you go from one stage to the next stage in a process, well, that second person can see that the first person's left 2 boxes blank. So they just go back when they receive the documents and just notice these 2 are blank. Why is that? And then they might say, oh, I've just done that check and I forgot to write it in. Or, oh, I missed that check. We need it before it passes on to you. Give me it back and we'll continue with the batch and finish it off first. Because otherwise, what was going to happen? Well, your part of the process wasn't going to work. You were going to waste time fixing what they should have done. Or maybe it just would have failed. And you wouldn't have been able to complete the batch because you didn't recognize that part of the job, part of the work had not been completed. Now, it is their job, sure, but it needs dealing with. It doesn't need you to pick it up and guess. So it's really important to make sure we all work together as a team. Make sure we understand the risks in the business. Make sure that they're clearly documented and shared, and that we deal with them. If there's an issue that needs addressing, address it. If there's an inspection coming up, well, if we've been dealing with the preparation for it for the last 2 or 3 years, then we already know about the rest of the iceberg under the water, and we've already dealt with it. And then you don't leave yourself in a position to get criticized, and you don't leave your business at risk, and everything goes on. That's it for me for today. It's Paul Palmer. I'll talk to you soon.